My name is Paul Von Fange, and I work with Coeco Office Systems here in Virginia Beach. I've been representing the Sharp line since August of 2011, and today I'm excited about talking about this Aries model, the 3110, and how it can help your organization. When you're working with volunteers and people that maybe have little or less training than somebody that shows up to a job all the time, it's good to make things very intuitive and simple. Plus, with good security and the ability to customize your home screen, I think this can be a perfect fit to any non-for-profit so that you can make the most on a tight budget. Here, let me show you. Wow, that's a little bit of a glare. The good news here is by pulling this down, we can actually change the angle of the screen. And this is good not only for instances of glare, but also if you're working with volunteers that are handy-capable, this is definitely a lot easier to reach for somebody that might be in a chair, for example. Talking about volunteers, because they come in all shapes and sizes and everything, we're going to move that back up. We can actually change some settings on here that are pretty awesome. Right here is a language setting button. When I click that, I can actually change the language for the entire machine. So if you have a diverse culture that's working with your organization, there's something for everybody here. So I'm going to move that back to English. And also, this is a very customizable home screen. Over here, and you can change the pattern. So if you want the color to change, let's say we went to pattern 3. You know, you got a better contrast, it's easier to see. All right? Another thing that can happen here is with these icons that change, the machine knows if it's something that's built in the system here, how to make the font the right color. But if you make a custom background design, you may want to go in and change that yourself because it cannot auto-detect those changes. I'll show you from the remote user interface how you can change actually the background image to be custom for your organization. You just go to System Settings, and you come down to your Operational Settings, and under Operational Settings, there's a place for you to do Home Screen Settings. And on this main screen, if you click Image, and you want to change something there, we'll hit Submit, and it's done. You update, and you've got a customized home screen. Okay. Now to make things easy for your organization, there might be some jobs that get done every week. And if you don't want to have to go through and show everybody all the settings, one option is to create a customized workflow. So in this one, what we're going to do is change the exposure. And let's say that it's going to be a photo. And we're going to go to the copy ratio here and change it to 64%. And we're going to say that for the paper select, it always needs to pull out of the second drawer. Okay, so we're going to hit that, and on two-sided it's going to go one-sided to two-sided each time. Once you have all your settings done correctly here, however you want those, you go over to the Action panel, and we're going to open up the Action panel, and we're going to say Program Registration. Under Program Registration, we just select an available button here, and we give it a name. And you can say you want to register it as a favorite, register it for home. Let's register it for home. It's going to ask you for the admin password. Okay. Now it tells you it's completed. Coming back to our home screen, we're going to take a look down our stuff here. I'm going to hit this side button up. There's our new icon. So that is our custom workflow, and so the next time one of the volunteers comes to make a job, they have that button. Next, we'll look at scanning. Sure, you can send it to a network folder, but in this case, we're going to look at the hard drive because it can store up to 86 gigabytes on its document filing system. Lots of features, and we're also going to look at the option of preview and some of the things this machine can do that its predecessors could not. So I've got something up here. The machine's starting to take in the documents now, and you'll see them appearing on the screen. And when it gets done with all those, you have these images. Now I want to go to kind of a different view here. There's a couple options. You can, if you're just looking at them, you can kind of scroll through them with a little swipe technology, which is great. Oh, how did that get in there? That doesn't belong. So now I want to do some editing. So I'm going to go over here And on this screen, you can actually change the position, or you can rotate different documents like that. Or maybe you have a document that didn't belong, like this one, somehow snuck into your group, and you're going to drag it down and just drop it in the trash can. This saves your organization time and effort because you're not doing jobs that don't matter because now they don't look good and you can't use them. So another thing you can do here is something called redaction, which you can remove an unwanted part of a slide. So I'm going to click on the action panel here, and as that opens up, we're going to erase a specified range. And so it's giving us some directions there. I'm going to rotate this page, and I'm going to zoom in, and this is the part I want to take out, this little red thing. It doesn't really matter, just say this is your start point, click at another spot and say this is the end point. And you don't have to be exact, because once it's done you can move it around. So I'm just scooting that to where I want it, and if I need to make it bigger I could stretch it out. But then I come over here and I want to tell it to execute. Now you can do up to 4 of those on the same page. Also, another kind of cool feature is, opening up the action panel again, I can apply that same erase position to all the pages, so I only have to do it once. So if you have a fax or something that's got the little tagline at the bottom, or somebody's email you want to take off the document, then you don't have to sit there and do it for every page. But now you've got them there, you've previewed them, you say end edit, and you've got everything lined up, which is beautiful. And if you want to take a look here, I'm going to rotate this page again, and that little area that we were trying to get rid of is no longer there. So now, continuing to scan, now that we know that our job is correct, you can come up here and you can name your document. So I prefer to use the keyboard because it's pretty fast. Okay. So now that we've got that named, we know which folder it's going to. We're going to hit start, and it's this easy to scan things. Data stored, it's done. Now you have options of storing it to your folder that's like your main folder here. There's also one that I created called temp docs. We're just going to make it simple. We're going to go to a network folder, and you can configure your machine however you want it to talk to your network, because right here, if I click on network folder, you'll see I could do an email or even an FTP desktop. So there's a lot of options here, and you can look at the different things that are going to happen when you make your scan. For now, I'm just going to hit start to make it simple, and it's asking for an address, so I'm going to go to my address book, and I'm just going to click on scans, and I'm just going to hit start. And it is that easy. So why would somebody want 86 gigabytes of a document filing system? Well, if not everybody in your volunteer organization has access or rights to a computer, you can put the things on the unit here in that 86 gigabytes we talked about, and when they need to use it, they could come in here and grab something from either a folder that you named, whatever you want to name it. It can be from the main folder, it can be from a secure folder, and then they can print up the documents as they need them. When the version of the document you're using changes, you can change the one on here, and so people don't run around with an old outdated version. Another feature that is very awesome with the Aries line is the ability to multitask when you come to the machine. We can actually do more than just the copy by hitting this button, send and print. Now we got to tell it where it's going to go. So if we put scans as our place, enter the address, now we can just hit start, and it sends it and makes a copy. There we go. Like magic, the Sharp is performing, making it happen, sending it where it needs to go.
Sharp's innovation includes several energy-efficient things that help the environment and your power bill. The LED exposure lamp uses less power. The new Eco Scan mode shuts off the fuser for scanning, faxing, and previews, along with a revolutionary belt fusing system and power settings you control.
So to change the power settings, you just click here, and on your list we're going to find Energy Save. Okay, doing our admin login again. Okay, log in. And as you can see here, we can go to eco mode, we can go to normal mode, or you can say follow the power management. Power management settings. Under here, we can change the preheat mode setting. We can look at the auto shut off. All of these different things here. So the shut off timer, let's change that to 8 minutes. So it's on more. And then we're going to change the transition time by the time of day. We're going to make that manual. And there's different presets in here, and I'm using a swipe technology as I'm moving that down. And you can see in the blue the different color codes. These color codes are broken down on a key down here that tells you kind of what's supposed to happen during those times. So during your high use areas, you want it to have a fast wake up. You don't want it to go to sleep all the time. So when your volunteers are with you making a project happen, maybe you're opening up earlier, maybe you're opening up later. Well, you can change the times of day that the machine behaves different ways. This is good on your time, and it's good on the energy consumption of the machine. So good stuff. We're going to look now at something that's authentication, and this is what's going to give you more control over when your volunteers come to make a copy. For authentication, you're going to have your authority groups, you're going to have your users, and then you're going to enable it as a default setting for the machine. So starting here, if you go over to user control is where everything happens in the land of authentication. You go to authority group list. Under authority group list, you create a group, and this group tells it what it can and can't do. Like Black and White Users Anonymous is a group I created. There are no color copies that can be made. So you see how this says prohibited? But you can do all kinds of things to limit and control what goes out of your organization. So some people may not be able to scan to their email. Some people may have a limit on how many copies they can make. There's all kinds of options. So once you have your authority group user list, create users, and you're going to add them to your authority groups. So if I selected this user right here, I'll show you as it opens up, and you scroll down, you're looking over the things about that user. Towards the bottom, authority group says Black and White Users Anonymous. Now that user or any other users you add has the same restrictions. So let's say you've created a couple of authority groups, you've added some users, you're ready to make things happen. Well, now you need to tell the unit its default settings. And default settings is where you have your authentication. You want to enable the authentication, and you want to tell it to have people log in using a username and password. I'm going to click on device account mode, and I'm scrolling down just a little bit here. Allow login by different user. I'm going to click on user selection, because this is who you're going to tell the machine will be the default user. That's the default. And you will need to know the password for the user that you put in. And then you hit confirmation. Okay? And you want to submit it. And once you submit it, the machine will tell you the change is reflected and the operation is reset. You hit OK. Now, the moment that you go to make a copy, you don't have the color one there. That's authentication. There's a lot more you can do with it, and I'm sure you'll be excited to find out the many ways it can benefit your organization and keep control of your cost.
So that concludes the tour of the Aries series, and there's much more it can do that we didn't cover in today, and talking about things like the Sharp Desk and the remote user interface and a lot of other things that this brings to the table for you and your organization. I can't wait to see this empower you and take you to the next step. In fact, I happen to have a pen on me. We can get that order signed and get this going today.